Let's go to the Labor Party and coal now. There's been an outbreak of common sense and good sense. Apparently, the Labor Party now saying federally they're prepared to actually consider the approval of new coal mines in the future. Maybe this is a real change of heart. If it is, it's been led, at least in part, by a bloke whose name rhymes with coal. Let's catch up with Joel Fitzgibbon again, up there in the glorious Hunter Valley. Good to talk to you, Joel. Have you talked sense in your own party on the realities of such a massive industry for Australia?
Great to be with you, Chris. Well, certainly there have been plenty of people out backing the coal mining industry, and I welcome that. Chris Bowen, of course, on ABC Radio this morning, and who recently visited a coal-fired generator and a coal mine in Queensland. Our resources spokesperson, Madeleine King, today very strong in the Australian newspaper, saying that coal will be with us for decades to come, and that we'll be exporting it to other nations well beyond 2050. I heard my friend Michelle Rowland too today. I think on Sky News, backing coal very strongly. Michelle, of course, is our communications spokesperson and has always been very strong on these issues. So this is a good thing. Ed Husick, our industry spokesperson, recently, or not that long ago, visited a coal mine. So I welcome this. This is common sense. The irony, of course, Chris, is that the Labor Party never ever had any policies that were anti-coal, but our weak language allowed our opponents to frame us as anti-coal. Adani, of course, fueled the community perception on that front, but we're doing no more now than the Labor Party has always done, and that is support the coal mining industry and our coal workers.
Well, obviously, coal workers are integral to the very origins of the Labor Party, really. But as you say, weak language, really, the Labor didn't want to back Adani, and that's where it all stems from. That was the test in the lead up to the last federal election. And I suppose the question now is, how do you marry this? The reality that we have a large export industry, and that will continue for many, many decades to come, as against net zero by 2050 promise. Can you back both of those, or are they mutually exclusive?
No, I believe we can, Chris, and I've never pretended this is an easy matter for the Labor Party. We have effectively two bases, our traditional bases born out of working people on the wharves and the shearing sheds and in the coal mines, and of course our more recently arrived progressive base, typically found, not exclusively, but typically found in our capital cities, where they take a far more progressive view of the world. We're the biggest party in the country with about 50,000 members, and we're trying to pinch to more than 10 million voters, all of whom think differently. But we do have to get the balance right, and you are correct. With Adani, for example, during the last campaign, we equivocated on that issue. We sent all the wrong messages, not just to coal miners, but to blue-collar workers more generally. And you see the results of that highlighted in that recent survey of electrical trades union members, 68% of whom said they didn't feel the Labor Party any longer represented working people. So we've had a challenge. The balance has always been difficult, but I think we are now finding our feet and striking the right balance. And I do believe that through technology in particular, we can hit zero net emissions by 2050, because technologies will change very rapidly over that period, and we can do it without hurting or unnecessarily killing existing traditional jobs.
And just briefly, is there room for nuclear in the future in this country, particularly from Labor's point of view?
Certainly we need to get rid of this senseless prohibition on nuclear energy, Chris. It was something John Howard put in place 22 years ago as a deal with the Democrats and the Greens in the Senate to get his GST legislation passed. I'm sure he thought it did no harm then, because he could not have conceived, nor could have I at the time, that anyone would ever attempt to build a nuclear generator in Australia. But of course, technology has overtaken that view as well, and these small nuclear modular reactors are not far off now being commercial, and it changes the numbers very substantially. But all I want, Chris, is for the prohibition to be removed.
Yep.
So if someone wants to put a proposition, it can be tested in the same way any other development proposal gets tested in this country. And if it's rejected by the community, well, so be it. But someone should be able to put a proposition forward. But at the moment, they can't get past first base because of this senseless prohibition.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Thanks for joining us again, Joel.
A pleasure, Chris.
Joel Fitzgibbon there, a former Labor frontbencher, but he is shaping Labor policy, be assured of that, from the backbench.